My name's Branden. I'm a world traveler, foodie, and YouTuber. Together, you and I will find the best travel hacks, tips, and best places to explore. Join me as we find new adventures together, live only on IBM.TV. Hello, hello. Welcome to Best of Travel here on IBMTV. My name is Branden. I'm your host. We're testing out a new microphone setup today, so I may sound a little distant and echoey. I may sound warm and delightful. Who knows? We'll find out together. So leave a comment below in the stream. Let me know what you think. How do I sound? Welcome to IBMTV. My name is Branden. Today we're talking about travel. This is the Best of Travel every Tuesday here on IBM TV. If you don't know me, hi, welcome to the stream. If this is your first time joining the show, hello, greetings. I hope you enjoy it. We're going to talk a little bit about travel. We're going to give you some tips, some hacks, some creative ways to make sure you have the best trip every time. That way we can make sure when we're able to travel again, you're ready and you're prepared. I have questions about travel. People will, DM me on Instagram, they'll tweet at me, people leave comments on my YouTube channel, on my blog, all sorts of questions about travel. So I thought, what better way to spend an hour here on IBM TV than to take 10 of the most frequently asked questions and do a sort of live FAQ. So we're going to go through 10 of the most frequently asked travel-related questions today and hopefully answer all of the questions as fully as we can. Of course, the best part of it being a live stream is that it's live, so you never know what's going to happen. That means if you want to head on over to the IBM TV Facebook page, you can leave a comment there in the stream. It'll pop up down here, and I can help you answer your questions live on the air. So I'm going to give you my 10 most frequently asked questions, and then if you have questions, or if you want some more elaboration on one of the answers I give, leave a comment below and we can have a little chat. I do have to start the show by answering a question that was posed to me on the previous show. Our lovely White House correspondent, Bill, asked about the Boeing 737s. You know, those big old planes that were crashing a while back. I know it seems like a lifetime ago. It kind of was a lifetime ago. It feels like a lifetime ago that was in the news. So many things have happened since then. But I did want to answer that question because they are talking about relaunching some of those 737s. So the short answer the question was whether or not I would feel comfortable flying on one if they relaunch. I think I would, and here's why. So if you remember ages ago, this news story. The folks at the FAA realized after these crashes kind of what was going wrong was that, I'm going to butcher this, MCAS, the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System. So it was a piece of software that automatically lowered the nose to prevent the plane from stalling. And the way that the engines were installed, because the Airbus and Boeing both came out with these new thingamabobs at the same time. Hi, Mark. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the stream. I'm so glad to have you here. I feel like you're my #1 fan. I'm gonna get a T-shirt with your face on it. I think that I'll wear that on the stream next time. So the 737s were, they had this new engine installed, and I don't know all the exact details, but the kind of question was, the aerodynamics of it meant that the plane kind of lifted up more than it should, and the software that they installed to counter that just automatically made the plane's nose go down. But they didn't really train their pilots that was what the software did, so that's what caused a lot of the crashes. So it's mainly a software and training update, updating the software so that it's more user-friendly and training some of the pilots so that they can use the software so that they know that flying this plane, it's going to nose down more often, and they can kind of keep that in mind. So I would feel safe flying on one of those aircraft in the future. You got to remember, and in the previous show, Kim was comparing it to like her refrigerator, and I think that the thing about planes is that your refrigerator is meant to break every so often because they want you to buy a new one. They don't want the airplanes to break. The only thing that sells airplanes is people being comfortable flying on airplanes. Of course, now nobody's flying on airplanes, right? So we're gonna go over some of these fun travel FAQs today, because eventually we will be able to travel again. and I want you to be equipped as you can for your next adventure. I'm all about adventure. I've got my little Explorer, that's my Explorer shirt on. If you like this, you can get one at my website. Look at that, self-promo. I love to explore and I love to adventure. So now's a good time while we're all cooped up at home to look at some inspiration, think of some maybe new destinations, and kind of get some tips and hacks down so you can start planning a trip. When this is all over, you're ready to go. You've got your plan. You know what you're going to do. So that's what we're going to do today. So Mark and other people watching, if you have questions, shoot them at me. We're doing our FAQ mode today. I got 10 of the most commonly asked questions. I've traveled quite a bit full time over the last 4 years, so I've gotten very familiar with airports and airline standards and just all the things that kind of come with with traveling. You start to realize which airlines will delay on you more. You start to test out what to do when things get delayed. I've definitely slept in airports before. All sorts of crazy stories that I could tell you. And I do on my YouTube channel. If you do want to hop over there to subscribe, you can get all sorts of great content there. And I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm excited about this. Here we go. Are you ready? Hold your chair. I'm putting out my last Paris video in the next few weeks. I have one more video from the about 4 weeks probably total I spent in Paris over the last year. And so I put together one more video to teach you how to avoid the scams in Paris. I'm gonna put that out on my YouTube channel if you do want to see that. But today we're talking about general travel. As I've said on the show many times before, domestic travel is going to be the future. And it's kind of where we're headed. So with all of that being said, I wanted to kind of prep you for some of these travel mishaps you might experience. I feel like I can share travel knowledge with you because I've done it. I've made a lot of mistakes. My first the first time I was ever overseas, I just went by myself. I just got on a plane by myself and went. So I made a lot of mistakes along the way. I knew nothing about where I was going and what I was doing. So I've learned by making a lot of mistakes, and so I want to share some of that knowledge, some of those tips with you so you don't make the same mistakes. So let's get into it. Our 10 most frequently asked questions. The first one I get all the time. I've answered it before on some other shows here on IBMTV. But I always get this question, how far in advance should I book my airline tickets? People always want to know what's that magic formula. And I did a whole episode on booking airline tickets. We talked about Skyscanner, which was a big hit, I think, with some of the folks here at IBMTV. We talked about a couple different tricks to get the best ticket. But people always ask, how far in advance should you book your airline ticket? And the answer to that is, well, it's complicated. Prices fluctuate a lot, so it can be very, very impossible to predict. Right now, I will tell you, the travel kind of expert world, the people who are high above me, who are much smarter than me, are predicting that airline tickets are going to kind of steadily kind of hover along at this really low level. And once a vaccine's announced, about a few months later, they're going to dip real low to encourage people to come travel, and then they're going to skyrocket because airlines need to make up a lot of lost costs. But in general, I want to say for domestic international, for domestic flights, you're generally going to find the best fares about 2 months before your trip. So this is for me, I'm all about flexibility. I'm not set on a destination. I would rather get a cheap flight and have a great vacation than be set on a destination and have to pay an arm and a leg for a flight. So it's better to be flexible because you can find deals 8 months out. Actually, I was looking at tickets, round-trip tickets from Florida to Bali for next spring, and they're about $600 on some of these websites because airline tickets are so cheap right now. But in general, if you've got a destination in mind, a domestic destination in the United States, or even kind of all over North America, and I think Europe too, Europe you're going to find a lot cheaper prices. But you're generally about 2 months before your trip going to find a better domestic deal. That's when the airlines have started to kind of book up their seats. They've got a comfortable flight. Now they just want to fill it so that way they don't have a bunch of empty seats when they fly, so they'll drop prices a little bit, and then as it gets towards last-minute prices, they'll go up. So in general, domestic travel about 2 months before your trip. If you're headed international, which we're not now and we won't for a while, But if you're starting to think about international trips, or if you're watching this in a year, future me, I hope all is well. Knock on wood. If you're traveling internationally, you want to look a little bit further in advance. You want to look a little bit ahead of that kind of peak travel time. So good rule of thumb is if you're looking at traveling during a holiday or a major event, you want to add a month or two onto your kind of planning. So you want to start looking 6 to 8 months out. That's when you're going to see some of those deals set. There are a couple of websites that'll help you with this. I don't have one that I'll promote because 10 and pick 'em. Airfare Watchdog. There's different apps you can download. Some of them are okay, some of them are terrible, so I'll let you kind of play around and find your favorites. But there are websites you can use to get an alert, a price alert. So you can set it like you would with stocks or investing. You can set an alert, hey, stop loss. Once airline flights hit this level, send me an alert to my phone. Or if they go above a certain level, send me an alert to my phone. There's lots of apps that'll do that for you. Smarter Travel, I think, has one. A couple different websites. I'm not a huge fan of any of them in particular, but definitely worth a quick search to kind of see if that's something you're interested in and play around with it. The second question I get all the time is what happens? What are my rights if my flight gets delayed or canceled? International folks have different laws all over the place. So if you're in Europe, there are some very strict laws about what happens if your flight gets delayed. And actually, fun fact, here we go on a tangent, everybody. Here we go. Brandon's going down a rabbit hole. What a plot twist. I was in a small island called Menorca, a while ago now. During the airline traffic controllers in France, they had a big strike, the Yellow Vest strike. I don't know if you remember that. Again, this feels like ages ago. This feels like time goes so quickly now. It's insane. But I was stuck on this little island, and they couldn't get a plane down because the airline traffic controllers were all on strike in France. Because in Europe, there's some very strict laws about if your flight's delayed by so much, you're automatically entitled to compensation, period. The airline flew an empty plane from another island over to us to fly us out because they didn't want to have to pay everybody on the flight. But generally here in the United States, we're not quite as kind. We're more kind to the airlines. So if your flight is delayed or canceled, it's important to kind of know your rights. I mean, I definitely am, I say, and I know Nick and the Lawyers Den team here at IBMTV would want me to say, read your ticket contract in full, fine print, before you buy your ticket, so you know. I don't think I've ever read one in full. I'm sorry, I'm a bad traveler. But in general, the situation kind of goes one of two ways. If your flight is delayed or canceled, it's important to know whether or not it was the airline's fault or whether or not it was not the airline's fault. Every airline's policy will kind of vary. Anything generally that is a delay because of the airline's fault, as in a mechanical issue, Johnny Two Shoes won't wear a mask on the plane, and they have to whatever, anything that could be the airline's fault, generally passengers are entitled to be rebooked on the next available flight, or transferred to another carrier, or they'll give you like an airline credit. Most airlines will try to give you an airline credit because it's easier for them, and then they'll try to book you onto the next flight if they can, because they don't want to have to put you up in a hotel and all of this. A lot of airlines, what they'll do is they'll try to give you a voucher. I'm a big fan of the voucher system. I always say, like, why not take it? If you can, if you're in a position to take it. I'm also a big fan of when it comes to bumping passengers. If a flight's full and they ask at the gate for a person who would be willing to be bumped, if you're not traveling for business and you don't have a strict schedule to keep, do it. Take it, because generally that means you're probably going to get a good voucher. They'll put you up in a nice hotel, maybe give you a nice meal. You have more time in that city you're in. So if you're in London and they ask for somebody to be bumped, or you're in Chicago, take it. You got 24 hours to go explore the city, have a free hotel room, have a free night in the city, and you're also more likely to get upgraded on that flight. They're more likely to give you free, business class or first class if you bought economy. They're more likely to upgrade you if you were willing to be bumped. Sometimes they'll even cash you out. They'll say, hey, we'll put you on the next flight and we'll give you $300. Well, all right, why not? It's extra $300, and I'll go stay at a $150 night hotel, $150 night hotel, and have a nice night. So I'm a big fan of that. But in general, when it comes to your flight getting delayed or when it comes to your flight getting canceled, if it's the airline's fault, they've got to sort it out for you. If it's an act of God, if it's a crazy hurricane, if it's a worldwide pandemic, most of the time you're out of luck. They don't have to give you anything. A lot of airlines recently have modified their policies. So this is why it's always important to check. You don't have to read the whole ticket, although you probably should. A quick Google search is good enough. Because a lot of airlines have started to waive cancellation fees. They've started to kind of be a little more lax with this kind of thing, knowing that people don't really want to travel right now. So definitely worth a quick Google to find out what your specific airline does. But generally, if it's outside of the airline's control, a refund's about all you're going to get. You get a refund, that's it. That's going to be the most you'll get, and you're stuck at the airport with your refund to figure out your next move. So some airlines, have things for major storms and kind of minor tweaks on that, but in general, that's kind of a good rule. But it's always good to ask. If you are at the gate and they tell you your flight is being delayed or canceled, just right then, if it's going to be canceled, go right up to that customer service desk and say, hey, what can we do? This is what I would like, and they'll be able to work with you because they're going to want you to fly their airline more. So it's important to talk to people. It's important to do that. I've definitely been on the bad end of this where the people at the gate were saying the flight's not canceled, but everybody's American airline app said the flight was canceled, and there was only one other flight out that night, and everybody was sprinting. It can happen. So communication is important. It's important to talk to your gate agents. It's important to talk to your customer service people. Be nice and smile and work with them. So the third question that I get all the time, especially now, is can I book a flight now in this kind of pandemic world? I always tell people, especially in the United States, just because you American doesn't mean you Ameri should. Just because you American doesn't mean you Ameri should. That's a good rule of thumb for the United States, I think, right now. But you can book a flight right now. Airlines are operating. A lot of airlines have weird routes because they can't go into certain countries. They can't take certain citizens into certain countries. But if you're looking to fly domestically, wherever you're at in the world, you can book a flight. You probably shouldn't. Avoid it for a little while if you can. Some places are safer than others. Some places have much lower numbers and are able to travel a little more freely and kind of be in groups. But if you're, in one of the hotspot countries, basically anywhere in the United States, probably don't book your flight now. The other question that's kind of the second half of this is, I want to start planning a trip because I'm getting stir crazy. I want to go somewhere. Could I book a flight now for like next April? No, that's a hard no. The world as a whole is super unstable right now. The world of travel is even more unstable. So don't, whatever you do, go booking a flight for this spring or this summer because we don't know what's going to happen. We might see airlines drop their prices like crazy. We might see airlines increase their prices like crazy. We might see a vaccine that turns us all into zombies. Who knows? It's 2020 at this point. We don't know. We don't know what's coming around the corner. So put that money into a savings account. Just gain a little bit of interest on it. Let it sit there and book your flight when you're actually ready and you'll be able to take the flight. Some travel experts will say, probably after July of 2021, you'll be able to start, kind of safely traveling again, but nobody really knows. The other thing is a lot of airlines are giving you incentives and deals to book now. So they'll do free cancellation changing policies. They'll say, book a flight now, you can change it to any other flight for free. Here's the catch. It's for the same price. So if you buy a flight now to Ecuador for June, and for whatever reason it's not safe to travel to Ecuador in June, and you have to take them up on that policy and you want to go in September, the airline's going to say, well, the flight's now twice as much in September, so you got to pay it all up again. So definitely not worth it to book a flight in advance now. Just try to think about that plan, make that plan, save for that plan if you want to, but don't start spending on it. Don't start making inflexible plans. So don't book anything that's a non-refundable accommodation. Don't book a flight if you don't know if you're going to be able to take it. We're not quite at that point yet. So that's kind of my just general life advice for travel in the pandemic times. But I've been getting that question a lot. People say, I want to start booking a flight. I want to start looking to go somewhere. Don't do it yet. We don't know what's going to happen. Airlines are facing a hard time this month. Some of them are laying off a lot of people. A lot of routes are getting cut. We're not really sure where things are going to go. So it's better to not book the flight and to just throw that money into your savings account and let it sit there for a while and be good. Don't even try. Don't even worry about it. When you're ready to take that trip and it's safe to again, I'll be the first to let you know. And then you can go ahead and book that flight. The fourth question I get a lot is from people who are really new to travel will say, what can I bring on an airplane? Because there's all these rules about what I can bring on airplanes. The people who have traveled a lot will oftentimes not realize there are things they can bring on airplanes that they didn't think they could bring on airplanes. So it can be a complicated topic, especially flying in and out of different countries. If you're not from the United States and you're going to be flying into the United States and around the United States, the rules are strict here. We've got some strict rules. And you're in some other countries, they might not be as strict. So you want to kind of think about your destination. And there's actually a couple of great guides online. Smarter Travel is an online guide. They have a whole kind of big section on what you can take and what you can't take onto an airplane, what you can check, what you can put in your carry-on, what you can do in different countries, all this kind of stuff. But in general, a good rule of thumb when you're going to travel is everybody knows, hopefully, or should know if they're booking a ticket, that you can bring a single clear quart-sized plastic bag full of liquid items, 3.4 ounces or less. It has to be clear, it has to be all this kind of stuff, right? Most of us know those rules. But here's the little tip that most of us don't know. First, I will tell you that those little alcohol bottles that you get at drugstores are less than 3.4 ounces, so you can take those through security. But secondly, I would say, don't do this whole travel size thing. Just pack the full one in your carry-on and have little standbys if you need them. But I don't. I will put all of my toiletries, everything except for my toothbrush, into my checked bag. Because I know if it gets lost, the hotel there will have small shampoos and things I can use that night or that day, and I can go to a drugstore there, and that's fine, I'll replace it. I'm not too worried about that. So I try to put all my toiletries in my checked bag, so that way I don't have to worry about them. I don't have to worry about the whole security thing. I don't have to try and have these small bottles and fill up things, and it's just going to get chaotic. Mark says, how do you feel about being put on the waiting list for flights? Flying standby is a nightmare, I think. I'm a bit kind of like, if you want to go somewhere, just book your ticket. Just book it and go, then you can kind of make your plans. You have a little bit more of a solid plan. Even though you might get a better deal by being on a waiting list or a standby list, it's risky. You might not get to go at all. That's a level of flexibility that even I'm not really super comfortable with. I would rather book my flight, and then if I get to the gate and I know that I need to, I'll take the voucher and go spend the night at the hotel, and I'll have, a free flight tomorrow and a $200 airline credit. All right, I'll do that. That's kind of my perspective on the standby system. So speaking of the standby systems and kind of the airline system and the hotel system, really, we're going to talk about rewards points. Boy, that's a mouthful. I've just full on lost my ability to speak. Rewards points. Loyalty systems. Here's the dealio. I know it's a lot. I know you get a lot of little numbers, a lot of little cards, keychain cards to scan. If you're going to travel frequently, if you want to try and take a trip once a year, if you're trying to vacation regularly, sign up for every rewards program you can. Every airline, every hotel you stay at, sign up. And here's why. I know it's a lot to keep track of. If you have an iPhone, you can do the little virtual wallet app and have your rewards points in there to kind of keep track of some of them. But these places, the airlines or the hotels, they're going to have a way to look you up. So they can look up in their system. You can give them your phone number, your email. They can find your rewards membership number, and you don't have to remember it. They can put it on for you. And then every so often, once you're log in and check, see where you're at, if you can get any cool perks. You might not be able to fly on the days you wanted to, but hey, at least you get some perks out of it. It's better than nothing. It costs you nothing extra to do. So I say sign up for everything you can. I unsubscribe to all the emails, so I sign up and I say no to the emails. But then when I'm flying, sometimes what will happen is I'll go to a hotel and I'll check in and they'll be like, oh, you're a diamond member. And I'm, oh, I didn't know that. Well, you hit that level this year. Oh, okay, great. Surprise. And I get free perks. And it didn't cost me anything, and I didn't specifically choose that brand to become a diamond member. It just kind of happened. So you might as well sign up. You might as well get something for your travels. When it comes to the other kind of half of this question is credit cards. And I'll tell you, I'm not the credit card guru. It's good to have branded credit cards for airlines and hotels because you do get some perks. But there are people out there who have dedicated their whole career to navigating which perks to get and swapping cards and balance transfers to always get these different rewards points and get free things on the airlines. And there's lots and lots of people out there that do that full time. I'm not big on it. If you want to get a couple airline credit cards to get free baggage, great. If you fly the airline a lot, it's worth it. If you don't fly the airline a lot, it's maybe not worth it. That's why I'm a big fan of the rewards systems, the loyalty points, because then you don't have to worry about annual fees and did I use my card enough that year to make it worth the perks, and am I going to get better miles if I switch to another card? You just sign up and just let it all happen for you without thinking about it by being a member of a loyalty program. So I'm a big fan of that. I know it's a lot to keep track of, but you might as well sign up. You might as well sign up, let those points accrue. One day you might sit there and go, oh, they're worth nothing. Well, okay, it didn't cost me anything. Or, wow, they're worth something. Well, okay, it didn't cost me anything. And I get this great little perk. So I'm a big fan of those. I know they can be tough to kind of maintain, but I like the loyalty rewards apps. And then every so often you'll find you can log in and you can, I can get a hotel for just some points and I don't need to pay at all. And that's always a nice little perk of the loyalty system. If you're going to really get into it, if you're going to really go in hard for that loyalty rewards programs, I would say pick a group and stick with it. I do One World, which is British Airways, American Airlines, a couple other airlines that have grouped together their reward systems. So when I can, if it makes sense and it's not going to be crazy expensive, I'll fly with one of those partners just because I know I'm getting some points. The other thing about points is even if your points expire and you don't get any free flights or free trips out of them, with airlines especially, and this is kind of what people don't really know or think about, is that you get, they call them air miles. So like there's a percentage of your airline points that you get just from spending money with the airline, booking your flight, signing up for their credit card. You get a certain amount of miles for that. But you also get miles for every air mile traveled, and that's what gives you your status. So just because you have 100,000 points doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get free upgrades because you've just spent, whatever on their credit card at gas stations and got points. But the more you fly in the air with that airline, every air mile you get will start to give you some status and start to give you a better chance of upgrades and lounge access and just free perks like that without you having to actually, get their credit card and figure out this whole scheme of navigating loyalty cards. So I say, in general, if you're going to travel, if you're going to take a trip once a year, I would say if you're going to take a trip every year, even if it's just domestic, even if you're just going down to Cape Cod for the weekend, sign up for those reward systems. If you're going to if you stay at a Hilton there, every year, well, then eventually you're going to have some perks for staying there regularly, even if it's not the same Hilton. If you stay at the same whatever facility, so just have some of those points coming in. Why not? Why not log them up? You might get nothing, you might get something, but it's worth it to do. I think it's worth it to do. So the first 5 questions I think are kind of focused on how to be a better traveler. The second 5 questions, we're gonna talk a little bit about being a smart traveler, how to be a better traveler, because next week, I hope you're all ready for this. Next week, I'm going to be doing a very hefty, long, crazy live stream, a whole hour. Well, every week's a whole hour, but a whole hour for the people who are engaged in the political system and say things like, well, if this person wins or that person or this happens in the elections, I'm going to leave the country. We hear that a lot as a joke. If so-and-so wins, I'm moving to Canada. So I'm actually going to go through the whole process with you if you were to really want to immigrate to another country, what it would look like. And I'll give you a tip. I've got bags under my eyes. Look at that. Just from preparing this episode. So it's a lot to go through. And hopefully we can talk you all through it and make sure you think maybe not. Maybe the political system isn't worth me going through this whole process at another country. Visas can be crazy. Visas can be tough. So we've got a whole episode on that coming up next week. But in the meantime, we're answering 10 of the most frequently asked travel-related questions. If you're just joining the stream, my name is Branden. We've got 5 more questions, frequently asked travel questions coming up. We're going to make you a better, smarter traveler and have a little bit of fun while we do it. So stick around after the break, and we're gonna explore. We're going to explore an adventure together, or at least learn how to do it better, so that way when we're able to travel again, we can. Travel. It doesn't have to be complicated, and it doesn't have to be expensive. When you think of travel, it can be easy to get overwhelmed, from pricey airline flights, dates of your hotel, navigating in Ubers and taxis in foreign languages, and currency exchange. It can feel really complicated, but it doesn't have to be. Let me help you break down travel into some easy, simple steps, so that way you can take the trip of a lifetime without breaking the bank or stressing yourself out. Travel is more complicated now than ever, so having a guide who's experienced to help you navigate the world of travel can be priceless. And it is priceless. It's free to watch here on IBMTV and free to subscribe to my YouTube channel, where I'll give you some great travel tips and advice. There's nothing quite like snapping that photo at sunset in Paris, trying great coffee in Colombia, or adventuring around Spain having a great sunny day. Even if you want to travel domestically, from budget travel guides in New Orleans, New York, Paris, and London, to luxury travel guides and everything in between, travel can be so much fun and so much more affordable than you think. I hope you're having a great time watching me here live on IBM TV. I have a ton of fun making Travel Tuesdays Travel with Branden, and I hope you're having a lot of fun watching. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, swing by my YouTube channel. You can find my YouTube channel full of great travel tips, some travel hacks, some food recommendations, city guides, budget travel tips, and so much more. Subscribing on YouTube is free to do, and it helps support me and continue making great travel content for you to see. You can also visit me online at thebrandenscott.com, where you can get even more travel advice, some great links, and some in-depth breakdowns of trips I've taken and trips you can plan. It's a great way to find a little bit of inspiration for your next adventure and some travel tips. I've got cities both domestic and international that you can check out. Find the best places to eat, the best things to see, the best things to do, and how to do it all affordably. Whether you want to stay at Airbnbs or 5-star luxury hotels, there are great ways you can do all of those things on a budget. Swing by my YouTube channel, give that big red subscribe button some love, and don't forget to visit thebrandenscott.com for even more travel tips. From great photos in Paris, to awesome food in Spain, to wild adventures in Colombia. If you want to adventure and you want to see more, this is the place to do it. Now back to, I guess, live me on IBM TV. Enjoy Travel Tuesdays and Travel with Branden.
And I run away out of all this gray. I just went out.
We're back. Thanks, Recorded Me. I think I like your haircut. Maybe I need to go back for that hairstyle. We're back live here on IBM TV. My name's Branden. This is the Best of Travel every Tuesday at 11 Eastern. I'm so excited to get to use this platform to talk to you about travel, to give you some tips, to give you some hacks, to help you have the best experience traveling every time. So make sure you stick around here on IBM TV, and not just for my show. We've got a whole bunch of great shows here on IBM TV to teach you how to invest your money, to teach you how to start up your own business, to give you all the tips you need, so that way you can become a successful person. And once you success, maybe a bit of investment monies come back to you, then you can come to me and we'll take you on a trip. We'll have a little adventure together. How does that sound? So today on the show, we're answering 10 of the most frequently asked travel questions. I have my travel website, and I post all sorts of different stuff there. If you haven't checked it out, you should. It's fun. Lots of great articles there and tips, and tricks and hacks and all sorts of stuff. But I get a lot of questions being a travel expert. I don't know that I would call myself a travel expert. I'm more of a travel mistake maker. I've made a lot of travel mistakes. So, I know how to do it because I've failed a lot of times doing it. I did want to kind of touch on a couple things quickly here in this next second half, 5 more questions. But if you have your own travel questions you want answered, leave them below. Leave them in a little comment on the stream. They'll pop up here, and I can help you personalize and plan your trip so you can have the best vacation, the best holiday every time, no matter where you're going. So we're going to kind of move on to some of our other frequently asked questions. I'll try not to get lost in too many tangents because I know I do that a lot, but we'll try. I'm going to try to focus through it. Last week I had this whole rapid fire thing. I got 50 tips, and boom, boom, boom. I just started talking. I just got lost and started falling down the rabbit hole. But we're going to try and get through this without too many tangents. So the next question I get all the time is, how do you have a better airline experience, right? Like, I've spent a lot of time in airports, and a lot of airports, some great airports, some not so great airports, and it can be exhausting. You're kind of bombarded by things all the time, and smells and food and people coming and going. It can be crazy. So I would say if you're at the airport and you want to kind of have a better experience there, download some apps. I'm serious, it sounds silly, but download some applications. It's very, very easy to download the airline's app before you go on your phone. That's how you're going to know what happens with your flight. That's the place to get it. You're going to get a push alert that says your flight's being changed to a different gate, it's being delayed. You're going to get those just right away, boom, boom, boom updates. So that's a little bit of stress off. You can kind of relax knowing that you'll get the little ping on your phone to tell you what's going on. So if you're not at the gate, if you're at a restaurant or you're shopping or whatever, sitting in the lounge, you'll get those alerts right away so you can kind of keep up to date with what's going on. Also, download a couple of fun entertainment apps. I'm a big puzzle person. I have a couple of block puzzles on my phone that I play to kill time. Those are great airport games. A couple of little silly games that you can do to pass the time are awesome. Just remember to bring your charger. The other thing you can do with the app sometimes that is fun is it'll tell you which lounges you can kind of get into, how much they're going to be if you're interested in lounges. If you don't have a membership already, you can download your boarding pass right there, scan it. It's just easy, have everything on your phone, saves you some time, makes it a little less stressful. It'll always be a good kind of way to do it. The other thing I always tell people is bring a sweater. Even if the airport's really hot, the plane may be very cold. And even if the airport's comfortable, you may want to take a nap. You may want to have a little headrest. You can bundle it up and use it as a little neck pillow. You can put it behind you on a chair and have it to kind of put on if you want to, kind of pull the hood over your face and have a little, eye mask if you'd like. A little sweater with a hood, it's my lifesaver in an airport. It's my must-have. I'll tie it around my waist. Sometimes I've had to change clothes in airport bathrooms. It's great to have a sweater. makes it a little easier. And I like to have a big pocket. I can put my passport and all my stuff in that big pocket. So I would say always bring a sweater. That's kind of back to my travel tips video from last week. The next most commonly asked questions are, what are some items when I'm packing? You get a lot of packing questions. What are some small items that I should bring with me that maybe less savvy travelers don't? A couple small things you can take with you or should be taking with you. A small power strip will save your life. If you're a millennial or a boomer or anything in between, even if you only have 2 or 3 devices, you're not using a lot of devices, a small power strip will help a lot. Even if you're not going international, you can still just get a regular power strip with an American Edison plug on it. That way, if you've got a crowded outlet at the airport, boom, plug it in, zap, zap, zap. You've got all your electricity going for your laptop. You've got to charge your phone and keep your iPod charged, all your stuff charged. So always have a little power strip with you. It's also great for hotels. I have one with a long cord. I don't know where it's at. I have one with a long cord because sometimes at hotels there's not outlets near the bed. And so it's nice to be able to have that kind of as an extension cord to keep my phone near the bed. So I say always bring a power strip. It's great to have. Throw it in your personal item. Small one, you don't need a big one. But that's one of those tips I would always give to people. The other thing I would say is keep a picture. Take pictures, not just of your trip, but once you're packed, take a picture of your stuff like we talked about last week. Take a picture of what's in your luggage. Take a picture of your passport and save them with you. And keep them on your phone, and you'll be able to keep your phone charged because you have your power strip. The other thing I always tell people to bring with them is a little bit of cash. You don't need a lot, just some tipping money. I don't like cash. I hate cash. It makes me nervous because if I lose it, it's gone forever. But a little bit of cash as tipping money is always good. Even if you just tip a cab driver, you might just want to tip a bellman, something like that. It's nice to have just a little bit of cash there when you're going to the airport, when you're traveling through. And then you don't feel so guilty. You have a pretzel. Okay, just use my cash, kind of little supply, my day supply for that, to get my little snack at the airport. And of course, a bottle. Bring up an empty bottle with you, a steel bottle, plastic bottle, doesn't matter. So you don't have to pay an arm and a leg for water at the airport. So those are kind of, some tips from last week, but I do get that question a lot. What do I bring? What do I pack? And I'll be doing a whole episode on luggage and packing. But in general, a few of those things will help a lot, The next question I get, I've gotten this a lot actually in the last year, is especially from Americans, people ask, I've never been to Europe. Where do I help? What do I do? How do I plan a European trip? It's a big place. There's a lot to see in Europe. There's a lot of big cities. There's a lot of history. There's a lot of architecture. I would say, first of all, I'll check out my website because I got a whole post on how to do Europe in 2 weeks and do it on a budget, less than Disney World tickets. So check that out. But my first thing I would say to people when they want to travel, especially to a foreign country, even if it's Europe, South America, Asia, wherever, is don't try to do too much. What'll happen, or it happened to me, is that eventually I got to cities. I went to about 20 cities in France in the course of a month. Yeah, a lot. And I eventually got to the point where I was out sightseeing and I went, oh, well, another church on a hill. Like it was not interesting anymore. And looking at the pictures, I could, was that in this city? Was that here? Was that there? Is that a cathedral in Rome? That's the cathedral in Barcelona. No, that's the cathedral in, who knows? So don't pick too many things. Pick a couple of cities that you want to see and stick to it. If you're doing a 2-week European vacation, I always tell people to pick, 3 cities and spend a couple days in each city. If you haven't been out of the country yet, if you're an American, and you're a little maybe averse to the whole idea of a big international trip, start your trip in an English-speaking country. So visit London first before you hit Paris or Rome or wherever. It'll make you feel a little more comfortable stepping outside to have your official language be something that's commonly spoken. So I think that's kind of the 2 big tips when you're first looking to book a trip, starting to go overseas. Even if you're an experienced traveler, it's easy to know that you can do a lot and really wham through it all. And that can be hard. I've made that mistake many times where I've booked up too many things and I'm in a city and I feel like I'm just running all the time and I'm exhausted by the end of my trip because I'm tired, done too much, and I don't really remember what happened. So, even as an experienced traveler, I always tell people, take it easy. You never know. You might find a city you love and it's great and you want to spend more time there, and you might not. So give yourself 3 to 4 days in each city to kind of get the chance to explore a little bit, maybe have a day of downtime and not feel guilty about it, but give yourself a little bit of time in each city. The other thing I always tell people is if you're going by yourself for the first time, don't do a group trip. It'll generally sour your experience. If you've been out of the country a few times, you've traveled around a little bit, but you're not super comfortable, that's the time to take your group trips. If you're a first-time traveler on a group trip, you're going to get the boilerplate of everything. You might as well watch Rick Steves or my videos from home, and you're going to have personality conflicts. It's more expensive. So I always say stay away from the group trips. Once you've taken a trip or two, then there you go. That's the time to do it. The other question is, so we're a little bit about hotels. We talked about how far in advance to book your airline tickets. And remember, if you have questions, leave them below. They'll pop up here. We can answer them for you. The next question that I get a lot is, how far in advance do I book my hotel room? I know maybe a couple months for my flight, but what about my hotel? Earlier than you book your flight. Book early. Hotels, even more so than airlines, are all occupancy based. So when it starts to get full, the rates go up and up and up and up and up, and they'll just keep on going up. And it's much harder to get last minute deals at a hotel. So I always tell people to book early. So if you're going to take a trip in a year, start looking for your hotel and book your hotel 8 months out if you can, 6 months out. It'll be a lot better for you to do it that way. If you're more flexible, if you're someone like me who you can kind of go here, go there, go wherever, you can always book it last minute. You're going to find better deals booking last minute, but you might not have availability. You might have crazy expensive rooms. You never know. It can be chaotic. So if you know where you want to go and you're not well versed in traveling, book early. If you're comfortable, I've definitely shown up in a city and had no hotel reservations. Gotten off the plane, gotten out of the airport, been in, I think it was Belgium. I had nowhere planned to go, but I knew that I could find a hotel, and I wasn't super worried about it. A big city, I think it was Brussels. So if you're new to travel, I would say book 6 to 8 months before your trip if you can. If you're really comfortable traveling and super comfortable traveling, book the day of, the day before, and get some of those deals. But right in that middle, you're not going to find a lot of deals. If you're booking, 2 months before, there are not going to be any specials running. There's not really going to be any deals. You're going to find those deals early. So with your hotel, book it early if you can. The other question I get a lot is, what do I do if my luggage is lost or delayed? What a nightmare. I'll tell you what, nothing is worse than watching that conveyor belt go around and around and around and not seeing that bag. You don't see that bag come around, and the conveyor belt eventually stops moving. Bum, 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 bummer. Let someone know right away. So there's a shot, risky, but there's a shot that bag just got put on the wrong belt, or that it's down in the aircraft still somewhere. If it made it to the airport, the faster you let somebody know, that more likelihood is you'll get it back quicker. Chances are probably it didn't make it there at all. It got put on the wrong flight, or got transferred incorrectly. It happens all the time. But this is why you have your photo. This is why if you watched last week's show, this is why you have your photo of your bag to take to the people and say, this is how much it was worth. This is kind of what was in it. And you want to make sure that you talk to them right away and say, this is kind of the deal. This is what's going on. Let them know where you're staying. And some airlines will give you a cash advance on the bag. They'll reimburse you if you have receipts for your bag, or you can value it. Some airlines will try to deliver it to you. But if you have a picture and you kind of know what's in the bag and you know what you need, you have a better argument to say, I need this, I need that, I need a certain amount of compensation, even if you don't find my bag, because there are things that I'm going to need right away. I've definitely had friends who have traveled and the airlines lost their bag and the airline said, just go buy a whole new wardrobe, and gave them a big chunk of money. Doesn't happen often. You want to make sure you're ready to kind of stand your ground. The other thing you can do is, if you booked your flight with a credit card, check with your credit card company, because a lot of them will cover lost or delayed baggage as a perk. More than you might think will cover it. So if you booked your flight with a credit card, even if it wasn't the airline's credit card, even if it was just a regular old Capital One card, check with them. Say, hey, what's your deal? And you might find that you have some free baggage insurance just for using that credit card. Mark says, how do you feel about getting off the beaten path, seeing the sites that locals love? I always say talk to locals. That's my biggest piece of advice when you're traveling. Even if you want to travel in luxury and you want to stay in high-end places and you just want to kind of relax, talk to the locals. Talk to the bartenders. When you're out and about on the streets, chat with people. Chat with shop owners. Chat with the waiters. Ask them, what do you do? Because you want to experience where you're at. You don't want to just get the watered down touristy, expensive food and see the standard sites. You want to have a more in-depth experience. I've told this story before. I don't know if I've told it on this show, but when I was traveling in the Mediterranean, I was on an island in the Mediterranean, and I went to this restaurant all the time because I liked it. And there was nobody there. It was shoulder season, so it was right before their kind of big season, and I made friends with the waiter. I would chat. He would help me practice my Spanish. We had a lovely little time. And eventually, one day I went there and he said, "Hey, a friend's taking me cliff diving tomorrow. You want to come?" Sure. And he ended up taking me on a lovely tour of the island, drove me around, showed me all these great places, and we went cliff diving. I had this crazy experience. So talk to the locals. Even if you're not up for something crazy, ask them, where do you eat? Where do you go? Where do you go to relax? What do you like to do? You might find that you'll have a much better experience, even if you're going to a touristy area, if you've got a local friend there who has helped give you a little bit of a guide. So I do always say definitely talk to locals, and don't be afraid to try that hole-in-the-wall restaurant that they recommend, because they live there. They know what's good. They know what's good. So I think that kind of covers my top 10 most frequently asked travel questions. If you have questions, even once the stream ends, if you're watching this, past tense, feel free to shoot them at me on Instagram or Twitter. You can leave them in comments on this stream or on my YouTube channel, wherever you want. Hopefully we'll help you plan the best trip every time. I think now more than ever, we need something to look forward to. So having something to think about, that planning, where do you want to go, what do you want to see, figuring out what you're going to spend. You have time now to kind of do that, to sit at home and to fantasize about where you want to go. So, join me every week here for an hour of a little bit of escape, a little bit of fun, a little bit of whimsy, and we'll have you hopefully ship shape and ready to go. So that way when the next, big trip is coming up, once the vaccine's out and once the pandemic's subsided a little bit, you'll be ready to hit the ground. You'll be ready to buy that cheap flight and take that awesome trip that you've always wanted to take. So, don't be afraid right now of wishing to travel. Don't travel right now, of course. Stay home, stay safe, wear your masks. But check out some of those city guides. Watch some YouTube videos. Find a city you always wanted to go to. Now's the time to make it happen. Now's the time to start planning. Now's the time to start figuring out how you're going to make it happen. Don't worry so much about all these visas, what countries you can get into and can't get into. It's all going to be just changing and fluctuating over the next 5 years. So pick something that interests you and then start thinking about how you're actually going to make that happen. And that way, when you're ready to travel, we're ready to do it together, you and me both. So that's kind of my general advice for folks. I think looking at some city guides is always a good way to do it. Watching, I have actually a whole series of cities on a budget, New Orleans on a budget, Paris on a budget, London on a budget, that you can watch to get a sense of how you can enjoy a city without spending a ton of money in the city. So watch some of those. Watch some of those cities. Watch some of those places. See some of those sites, and dream a little bit, because we all need that. We all need a deep breath and a little bit of positivity and a little bit of dreaming. And so that's what we do every week here on IBMTV. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm excited about next week. It's going to be crazy. I'm telling you, I got bags under my eyes. Look at this. From trying to figure out how to immigrate to another country. I have gotten visas before. Actually, I have one here. I think I can show it to you without showing too much personal information. This brand new passport I just got in March. Now it's a paperweight. But look, there's my, I don't know if I can show the number. Where's one of my visas? You can get your visas for different countries. If you do want to visit, a lot easier than if you want to live there long term. But next week we're gonna talk about what to do if you're an American who thinks, I just want to leave. I'm just ready to move. I'm going to show you what it actually takes to make it happen. I'll give you a hint. It's not easy. There are not very many countries that it is easy to immigrate to. So we'll go through it all. We'll go through all the dirty details. I can tell you that just getting that visa, just getting this one that I have, was 8 months of work and cost about $2,000 to do. I can tell you that. And that includes the whole lost passport story that we talked about in a previous episode here on Best of Travel. So next week, if you're looking at the impending doom of the election coming up in a few weeks, and you're starting to stress out, and you want to just run away, we'll get you there. It's going to be a lot of work, but we can make it happen. Especially now more than ever, we need a little bit of fun. We need a little bit of lightheartedness. Of course, it's all a fun, ironic thing to share, but it is good to know how to do visas. If you're in the United States, you're going to be, unfortunately, looking at a lot more visas in the future. We're going to need to fill out a lot more paperwork, and we're not used to that here in the United States. We're used to having a really powerful passport where we can go wherever we want. So we'll go through that together, and we'll help you be prepared for that. Of course, I end every show by saying, please stay safe. Please stay at home. I know we all want to travel, and I know we're watching the Best of Travel every week here on IBMTV, Tuesday at 11. And just excited about it and ready to go out and travel again. But stay home. We've got a little bit longer. We're what, 6, 7 months in? At this point, we might as well be 30, 40 years in. I feel like I've aged. We're only a few months in. I know it's been a long, hard time. Stay home, wear your mask, stay safe, don't travel now. Plan, think, dream, and prepare. Don't forget to stay tuned here on IBM TV. Coming up after this show, we have a Celebs Tuesday, where you can hear from some up-and-coming creators and great entrepreneurs and some exciting celebrities. And then, of course, later today we have Humerawood, the show where Hollywood meets Bollywood, coming up at 1 p.m. Eastern. So stick around here on IBM TV. Lots of great programming to see. And I will see you next week here at 11 on Best of Travel, where you and I together will learn how to run away. We're going to do it together, you and me both, the whole way through. Thank you so much for watching Best of Travel here on IBM TV. Don't forget to hop on over to my YouTube channel and to my website for more great travel content. And I will see you all next week. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay positive, and keep that exploring spirit internalized so we're ready to go again when travel starts up.